Hey everybody, it's David Pingree here with Racer X with another garage build project, a couple of them here today. These were put together by Jay Clark with the idea of building the ultimate off-road enduro like dual sport bikes for he and his son. Both of them are 350s. The 500 EXC KTM is sort of the gold standard for those bikes, and they wanted something that was a little bit maybe lighter feeling but still had the horsepower numbers. So this is a 17, this is a 19 model. And you had Race Tech do the engine on this. They did the suspension on both. Twisted Development did this engine. And you guys did some cool things inside of these to really squeeze numbers out of them. These come stock at about 35 horsepower, very choked down and restricted for emissions reasons. And they've got both of these bikes up over 50 horsepower, which is more horsepower than the stock 500 makes. So you've got the light feel of the 350, very nimble, with a whole lot of horsepower underneath it. Tell me what you guys did.
Well, you said it all. But to get after that, we did uncork it a bit, got the Cylinder Works big bore kit in there, and both of them were ported to match that. And that's what Race Tech did, and so did Twisted. So, and both are mapped with the Vortex. And so that's really the key. And with the FMF exhaust, we open this thing up, and now it really works like it's supposed to.
And you also mentioned you dropped in the SXF cams, which give it a little bit quicker feeling.
Exactly, because the EXC cams are a little bit more retarded, so we're able to get more aggressive with the SXF cams. And we're not doing tons of miles on these bikes. We're mainly riding trails, connector stuff in between.
You guys did some other things to really customize these for your build. You're a economy-sized rider, as am I, and so you guys actually dropped the suspension down a bit.
Yeah, with these PDS bikes, they are a bit tall, and these EXCs are a bit tall, so with that 29-inch inseam, you want to bring her down a little bit. So we dropped her an inch, and Race Tech did that for us, so we got that dropped down. And then we have a lot of our cool stuff that we normally run with Tusk wheels, of course Dunlop tires. Decal Works made us some great graphics to match, and UFO has this like flow orange plastic, got the regular orange on this bike, so to give them some, a little bit different custom look. IMS large tanks, so we can go on those big rides for a long time with the big tank. Henson got clutch, super sprockets. We got all the good pieces on here, Enduro Engineering handguards. Also, Malcolm Smith helped me out on these bikes a little bit, so that was kind of nice to give a little shout out to them on these bikes. So this is kind of our long-term deal. We'll actually have these bikes for a few years.
Cool. And another interesting part you were talking about, the stock controls here on the handlebars tend to be a little bit wide. And so especially if for a guy like me, I use my middle finger on both my levers. And because these controls are so wide, your levers have to sit way in on the bar, and it's tough to even get where I can use them out there. It's so far out. So SAR Racing builds these custom like start switches here and blinkers and horn and all this, the lights. And there's a couple cool things about them. One, they're thinner, so you have more room to adjust your levers where you want them. It just sits. It looks nicer up here on the handlebars. But the other cool thing is a lot of people have issues with these bikes. If you leave the key on, the lights will stay on. It'll continue to draw power. You will kill your battery. That's a pretty standard occurrence on a guy who's new on an EXC. So with these, they only draw power when the engine's running. So if you forget to turn your key off, it's no big deal. It doesn't kill your battery. It doesn't end your ride. So cool little parts and pieces like that. Also a lot of the protective stuff as well. Huh?
Yeah, and with SARs, they also make the blinkers and that whole rear section with the tucked in lights. And when you're trail riding, you don't want big blinkers hanging way out there. You're going to tear them off. So they have the license plate holder, the rear section, all that's really cool. And then as far as protection, like you're saying, we got the P3 skid plate, bulletproof designs, makes the radiator guards, all that kind of stuff. The bike already had the fan on it. So, and we took the thermostat off and we used moto hoses to do that. So with all that stuff combined, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, a couple of things you definitely don't want is your battery going dead or having something, smash into something and break it. So it's important to be really protect your bike if you're going to be doing any kind of aggressive trail riding, which I know you guys end up out there doing. We took these on the trails today, just a little loop here around Paris, and got up in the hills. Man, you can rock climb with this. It feels just like an off-road bike, which is exactly what you want. Race Tech did a great job getting the suspension to feel really plush. The PDS stuff is great off-road anyways. Motocross, obviously, I've never been a fan of having no linkage, but off-road, it's actually really nice. It gives it a very planted, almost like a dead feel. So if you're at high speeds and you hit a root or a sharp edge, it just doesn't react violently to anything, which is a great feature. But I just noticed we were kind of climbing on some rocks and through tight little trails and up hills. Plenty of horsepower on this thing. You really feel that it's light. The 350 feel comes through. but there's plenty of horsepower. You know, you can cruise down the road. Maybe if you're going to ride more street, the only thing I would say, we got a pretty aggressive Dunlop front tire on here because they are going to be riding mostly trail. But if you're going to do more road riding, I'd probably go to something a little more designed for the road. But
D606. Yeah.
D606, that's the Dunlop version for that. But for what they're doing, this thing is awesome. It's got the mirror that folds down on here, which is really nice, so that thing isn't getting smacked by branches or anything. So just everything's kind of been thought of and really gone through. You guys did an awesome job on these. Lots of fun to ride them. So thanks for building them.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. It's a pretty fun deal, and it was a lot of work, but I think it's worth it.
And I get to borrow this because it's got my number on it?
Right.
Okay, good. Good news, everybody. I got bikes to ride if you want to go dual sport and hit me up. Thanks to Jay and all the companies involved. Really cool bikes. We'll see you guys out on the trail.